Hey everybody, we're back to discuss one of my latest blog posts. This one is about family offices and funds of funds. So my background, angel investing. I write a check personally into a startup. I own shares directly. I know the founders. It's really early and I help. But as a family office, that's where our expertise lies. That's what we enjoy. But not all family offices and 99% of people don't actually invest in startups. You read about it in the news, seems fun, seems glorious. It can be, maybe not so much today, but as I continue to network and meet more investors and family offices, they have a completely different outlook just on the entire cycle. They have different incentives. Angels, it's my capital. I can do whatever I want. VCs, it's other people's money. So if you raise a VC fund, you kind of have to invest. It's a weird gray area right now as the investment world slows down. A family office is basically a hybrid. They have money they want and should deploy, but they don't really have to, depending on their thesis, their management style, and really what they expect to get out of it. And so I met a few family offices, and they're considering doing a fund of funds for VC funds. At first, I was like, oh, that's boring. That doesn't make sense. That's not fun. But that's not what investing is always about. So I dove in and I met with some funds of funds, family offices to kind of better understand why they want to do this. And it makes more sense. If you invest in the fund of funds for a VC fund that will invest in other funds, your job is just to see and learn, which actually I totally support. I generally tell new investors not to invest right away because you probably will lose your money. You don't know what you're doing. And there's a lot of FOMO. But when someone kind of explained it in a nuanced way and then I got more data, I actually really like this idea. While it's not for me, it could be perfect for you. Basically, you invest in the fund of funds. Don't worry about the management fees. You can figure all that out afterwards. They invest in 20 to 30 funds. Those funds then invest into 20, 30, 40 companies. So over the course of a few years, you'll get data on 20 different funds, which probably are diverse across fintech, consumer, B2B, SaaS, enterprise, deep tech, hardware, everything. You'll learn about everything from a fund's perspective and get their expert feedback. But then actually the companies they invest in, 20 funds, 20 investment, 400 companies. I've seen tens of thousands of companies. I've only invested in 60. If I could get information on 400 companies, that would be amazing. I do get updates and I get some fun knowledge from friends of mine who run companies and from the founders I invest in about other companies, and it's great. But I invest in one fund, 20 funds, 400 companies, and the pyramid all comes back to me. It's actually really interesting to see over the years if you have a huge long-term strategy. And these family offices are multi-generational. So VC fund, probably a 10-ish year lifespan from their investment phase to kind of flourish, hopefully, for the last 4 to 6 years. These generational family offices, a generation is about 30, 40 years. Some of these are 5 to 10 generations. So they go back hundreds of years. They have a very long lifespan. So if you have to wait 4 years to get into a fund of funds to see how the 20 funds do and the 400 companies do, 4 years is almost nothing compared to a full generation and multi-generation. And so I've been trying to find more of these just to kind of learn about it, see what data they have. And it's really interesting because then the fund of funds has all this information as well. So they can make educated investments, whether it's later stage funds, mid stage, multi-stage, whatever that means these days, and early stage. So I support this as a family office. You can maybe then do direct opportunities, some SPVs where you see fit. You get to learn about certain industries and you get insider knowledge about where it's kind of hot right now in terms of where people are deploying privately that's not being announced. And so I wrote a post about this. I'm a huge fan of it. Generally, I'm not a fan of funds myself just because I'm hands-on. I'm a founder. I'm an operator. I'm an angel. I like working with founders. I like being in the trenches, which right now is where I'm spending a lot of my time. But please, we need more funds. That's not a question when it comes to emerging managers. They're the boots on the ground. And a lot of these fund of funds are supporting what I believe to be the foundation of our tech industry are these emerging managers, my friends, who are writing $50 to maybe $1 million check depending on what their stage and AUM is. But these early pre-seed and seed funds, these are the scouts of the industry. So I want them to raise capital, I want them to invest smartly, and I want other people to learn from them. So if you're a family office and you are considering getting into tech, ask me all the questions you want. That's easy. I can talk for days, not a problem. You can invest in funds directly. That's your prerogative. If you want to see a huge holistic view, there are funds of funds, or just keep going. There are lots of other ways of making money. Don't worry about it, but just please do not FOMO.